All right. Well, my name is Pablo Willie Bustos, and I'm joined with members of the choir that are hiding all over the congregation today. And we will be inviting you to join us in song. Please stand, rise in body or spirit, and join me in singing. The first hymn will be Come, Come, Whoever You Are.
Shari. Who asked why she said
Shari, Halliday-Quan. I'm the lead minister here at First Unitarian. I'm humbled to serve along with Reverend Adrian and I'm leading worship with the two of us, of course, also choir members scattered around, the AV team, and all of you. Now, I know, and normally I'm wearing bright red lipstick to help make that possible. So today, it's true. I do also like bright red lipstick. It's twofold. But fortunately, making up for that, not completely on the lip reading front, but of course those who are joining on Zoom know that we have captioning available. And so if you're here in the sanctuary and captioning would be helpful to you, you can join us on Zoom as well as here in person to pull up captions. And fortunately, like I said, worship is led by all of us, all who gather both here in person and online. And so what we miss in red lipstick today on my face, we make up for in all of the red that I see out here. Thank you all for celebrating Lunar New Year with me. Happy New Year, or as my family greets one another in Cantonese, Gong Hei Fat Choi, which means may you have prosperity in the new year. If you're new or newish here at First Unitarian, I invite you to stop by the welcome desk or let us know online so we can help you get connected. And even if you're not new, I hope that you will stay after worship and form connections with one another online and here in the not in the sanctuary, here on campus. People connect over coffee and conversation, getting to know one another, but we have a couple of special things going on during connection. There are more offerings than this, but I want to highlight two things. One, the Board of Trustees is hosting a conversation around spiritual development. What does that mean for you? How are we doing? They will be straight back behind these doors. Grab some coffee and head back that way. If you'd like to join them and share more about your spiritual journey and how we might support that here at First Unitarian. Why do we care about that? Well, because our mission, as many of you may know, but I will remind you because it is Sunday, and that's how I like to start my day, that here at First Unitarian, our mission is through spiritual connection in community. We listen deeply to others and ourselves. We open to wonder and transformation, and we serve together with love and humility. So we want to know, how are we doing at that? And by we, I mean all of us together. It's not a test. Nobody, the Board of Trustees is not interested in rating you on how spiritually developed you are, but they are curious. The other offering, help me set up for the Lunar New Year party. We're doing a little cooking, again, with the COVID exposure, plus a little norovirus. I did not hand make dumplings for you all, but the food will be good anyway. The decorations will be good, depending on how we do. So come join me. All right, we got a lot going on, but here we all are. We gather on the contemporary and ancestral land of the Seneca people, the keepers of the western door of the Haudenosaunee. And I just want to name one other thing there, that many of our folks are gathering for a spiritual development exercise to figure out in the next week, what the heck do we mean when we talk about the western door? If that phrase is a mystery to you, I invite you to join our Soul Matters groups this coming week, and you can learn more about that in the newsletter. There is so much that we do, both here at church, in our wider community, and in each of our individual lives. We gather for an hour on Sunday mornings, settling in to be in this space, knowing nothing is required of you. I'll invite you to sing. I'll invite you to move. I'll invite you in just a moment to breathe with me. But if all you have to offer today is simply your presence, it is enough. For those who would like to, please take a breath with me. And so we light our chalice. EJ Santos will light it here in the sanctuary, and I invite you to join in our unison words. Truly nothing is required. Oh, no, that was a trick. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and mysteries of this great gift.
Hello, good morning, everybody. So, almost about 3 years ago, our lives turned upside down, right? Mine certainly did. And all of a sudden, some people were calling this the China virus, right? If you remember that? Kind of profoundly impacted me and a lot of people that I love. And all of a sudden people became aware, at least some more people became aware that there's something didn't really associate with each other. We were like, ships passing in the night. So we started talking. We have a monthly meeting on Zoom to discover what makes us similar to everybody else, kind of, right? I mean, you kind of see us, and most of us, not all of us, have black hair, and we look similar. And we realized that those of us who have basically grown up here, I grew up in Buffalo, right? So when people ask me where I'm from, I say Buffalo, right? And then they, is that what you mean? No. So there's a whole lot of things that I could talk about with that, but like I love the Bills, I love chicken wings. What can I tell you? But that's not usually what they mean. And for those of us who grew up in less Asian-centered places, like upstate New York, right? When my parents came here, they kind of forced us to assimilate, right? I don't speak Tagalog. Well, I speak a little bit now because I learned as an adult. But I was forced not to have an accent, not to have and so when Lunar New Year comes around, people ask, oh, what do you do? Sometimes they ask. And I realized that we didn't really celebrate, In some places, there's fireworks and it's a big thing, right? And you have like big feasts. But when you grow up in a place like upstate New York, and there's not that many of you, and your family is very far away, right? Because, it's often called the Great Migration, right? You go to your family, right? It's supposed to be a big family celebration. What do? So we celebrated quietly, rice cakes, food, right? I mean, food always brings people together. It makes you happy. It seems like a celebration. It's special. Noodles for long life, right? We wear red. We eat a lot of sticky rice, which is great. And that's it, though. It's not this big, hooray, yay, yay. And why I thought of this today is because that's why I come to church. I mean, I had to create my own kind of heritage, right? Our own traditions, right? As lots of us have. We all come from different backgrounds, no matter what we see, right? For each other. Our families have different things that we do, right? And here, First Unitarian and in Unitarian Universalism, my favorite, principle is really the interdependence of all existence, really, because it covers everything. Everything I do affects you, and you affect me, and here I feel home. Here I feel like we create traditions together. The winter solstice celebrations are always so meaningful to me, just as meaningful as a Lunar New Year celebration, right? And we all bring this together, and we accept each other, and whatever traditions you bring here, I feel like we want to learn about, and we want to accept, and we create our own together, right? So that's why I'm here at church. I hope that's why you're here. And I invite you all now to introduce yourselves to each other, share something about your traditions, and just enjoy the Lunar New Year. Happy New Year.
All right, there is so much to connect over. I invite you to take your seats, to settle in. Can't stop the fun. All right, back row. You think because you're in the back, nobody can see you, but I can. At the risk of inviting more talking, I do love to see you all connecting. Don't stop. Stop now. Continue it later. I offer two poems, two Lunar New Year poems that, well, I have to tell you, they were difficult to choose. In part because, well, most of them are about spring blossoms or snow. And our perpetual November doesn't seem to lend itself to either of those climatic conditions. So instead, two poems about generations, about connecting. One an ancient poem and one written here in Rochester by a contemporary poet. First, from Fan Cheng-da, a poem on selling silliness. On New Year's Eve, no one is asleep at midnight. They pray to gods for blessings and wait for the new year to arrive. A group of children hawk along the street saying they have silliness for sale. But who doesn't have silliness already? There's so much in the city and there's more to spare. From south to north in the alley, these children, they laugh and they banter, but they can't make a sale. An old man sitting behind a curtain says, "How much for the silliness?" The children answer, "Grandpa, you don't need to pay money. You'll be in our debt for hundreds and thousands of years." The School of Keyboards and Our Whole Entire History Up to Present by Chen Chen. Hi. Your text wakes up my phone and I can see the moments before your sending. Thumb hovering, potential characters having popped up after you switched keyboards. Typed Chen in Chinese. You're one of the few who write it to me in characters and say it like that. You write it and it's been a long time. It feels like a question. Why haven't we talked? So busy, I reply, when part of me wants to call and say, I miss you. I miss you, Mom, to speak that sentence in Mandarin. It's been a long time since I've spoken any Mandarin, any to you. Some days I forget my name isn't just Chen, written in those 4 letters. I worry I'll forget how to write it without my phone, without you to write it too. What do you still need to finish this semester, you ask? And I almost laugh. It's a question you've asked me since conception. How different is it now in PhD land? Might as well be back in high school, scrambling to finish French about shopping on the Champs-Élysées, while aboard a cold bus or in a loud cafeteria, lunch tray balanced atop my knees. I was young. I said, here I am. Do you have any idea how often they called me strong? They said, I don't know how you do it. You're so brave and strong. Friends, classmates, teachers, counselors, cafeteria ladies, hi, brave and strong, as they passed in the hall, because I was young and I said, here I am. And you said, wrong, wrong. The guys on the track team laughed and said, hey, French earlier, wasn't it so gay? And the girls I had just met, they linked arms with me and paraded me around the halls, while teachers applauded me for becoming president of the GSA and then never attended another meeting. My best friends and favorite grown-ups spent their lunches listening, their free blocks listening. They knew nobody is so brave without anybody's or somebody else's strong. Why didn't you? Why couldn't I tell you about the boy who dumped me via away message on AIM? Or the boy who demanded that I have anime hair? Or the one who kept saying you were a horrible mother? I said, yeah. I kept sipping my lukewarm tea and later asked, when can I see you again? And he said, yeah. I don't think we really clicked, and I don't blame him. I mean, I brought up my entire history with you, Mom, on the first date, and, well, I know it's been years since you've said wrong, but you still haven't said happy anniversary. 6 years, wow. What I hoped for. Some days I imagine a different history. Imagine it, me coming home, me running to you to rant about a boy, and you shaking your head. That boy, he's wrong for you anyway. If only you'd say, how right, this boy, taking such good care of you now. Okay, I have to get work done. I'll call you soon, I write. I don't know whether that sentence, either part of it, is true. My thumb hovers, considers switching keyboards to ask, are you ready now? Two poems about generations and beginnings, about possibilities, about silliness and debts, and running and laughing. I invite us into a period of silence, and we'll use this singing bowl for something closer to its purpose, not just getting your attention, but for getting your attention. And so I invite you to listen as it moves us into a shared silence. Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, God of many names, no name at all, and one abundant love. Source of endings and beginnings. A new year greets us as another one closes. Haven't we done this already just a few weeks ago? The cycles turn, and we get to choose where we enter into them, how we enter into them. And yet the cycles turn, and we have so little control over the turning, so little control over that which washes out over our lives. The year of the tiger closes, and with it, its focus on resilience in the face of struggle, courage in the face of all that is hard. We set down, if only for a moment, all that burdens our heart, all that requires us to be so strong, so brave. We tug on the threads of somebody else's strong and somebody else's brave, a web of interdependence offered up to each of us. Here in this space, we hold with strength, with bravery, with gentleness, all who are suffering from illness of mind or body, loneliness or grief. We lift up all who might need to borrow another's strength, another's courage. Here in community, we greet the year of the rabbit, feet tapping, ears twitching. We listen for all that is coming anew, all that is blossoming, not yet seen, all that is unfolding. Here in this space, in this place of borrowed courage and shared strength, we find softness, ease, and a new way in a new year. Just as the phases of the moon cycle through, we know too our lives bring many phases and stages. For all that is becoming and all that is good, we give thanks. Here in community, we celebrate the Lunar New Year. We celebrate the silliness you have to sell someone else for a song. We celebrate the text, wanted and now received, the attempts to connect, the ways of reaching out. Here on this Lunar New Year, let us come out of prayer for this one time, not with an amen, not with the blessed be, not with a make it so, or however it is that you use to call the sacred, but instead a gentle noise, a quiet tapping. I invite you to start to tap your feet, to lightly clap your hand, to make noise as we greet the new year. A little bit louder now. Happy New Year. I invite you to come forward. If it is grief on your heart, or if it is gratitude, or perhaps it is witness to something growing more alive that you are witnessing in your life, whatever it is that is on your heart, I invite you to come forward, to light a candle, to write in the chat, to be present to one another here in community. Let the people rise. May all these candles lit, all the words shared in the chat, and all that is carried within our hearts and yet unspoken, be held in the loving care of this community and in the palm of a love that will not let us go. Amen.
Up next, I'm going to invite us to sing a song that's familiar to some, newish to others, and was brand new to me when I came to you this fall. So it's a song called There Is a Love. And what I wanted to do today is sometimes we say, oh, everybody knows this, and then everybody doesn't know it, and it's hard to have that moment where we don't feel that we can participate fully because we know the song. So I wanted to take a couple of minutes to teach it to us, and then I'll sing a little bit. I'll invite you all to respond, and then once we've gone through the whole thing, we're going to sing it one time as a congregation, okay? So here is, I suppose I have to get my music ready first. 1 second. So the first line goes like this. It goes, there is a love holding me. Do you think we could all try that together? 1, 2, 3. There is a love holding me. And this composer did a really nice job, actually. The next line, it's pretty much the same, just a little bit higher. So now listen to this. There is a love holding all that I love. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3. There is a love holding all that I love. And now this gets a little bit higher, a little bit more triumphant, and kind of gets us in our body. So with lots of breath, let's see how it goes like this. There is a love holding all. 1, 2, together. There is a love holding all. And now the most chill part, and you're gonna have some options. It's a little bit low for me. It's a little bit maybe high for others, but let's do I rest in the Lord, this love. And that's low for me, so maybe an option for you might be I rest in this love. So whatever option you choose, let's try it and see how it goes. 1, 2, and I rest in this love. Now, we're going to sing this all the way through once. You can see that there's both verses up there. I'll lead from here. We have the choir helping us up there. Some of you know it here, so if you're familiar with it, go ahead and sing it out. Help those that are learning it, and let's see how we do when we come together with this. Here's a little intro. Get ready, and there is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. Second verse now, and there is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. Beautiful. Thank you for doing that with me today. We're going to start using this song more often, but I wanted to make sure that we took a little bit of time to learn it together. Thank you.
All that a community has All that a community is what we bring to it. Our time, our talents, our treasures, all combine to create all that our church does for ourselves and others. Each week, we give an offering from the bounty we are blessed to receive to support the work and witness of Unitarian Universalism in Rochester. As part of the spiritual practice of generosity, we split our plate each week to support the work of justice and caring in our community. This week, half of our collection will support New York Unitarian Universalist Justice, a Unitarian Universalist state advocacy network. With NYUUJ, we envision a beloved community that cultivates systems based on justice, equity, and compassion where all New Yorkers thrive. NYUUJ is designed to educate, build community, connect faith to action, and inspire us to live our principles in the world. You are encouraged to give online at our website under Donate. Links are provided in the chat, and in person, you may put money in one of the offering boxes. In the spirit of abundance and generosity, the offering will now be given and humbly received. As we head into the year of the rabbit, I want to share with you a rabbit tale that features other animals from the Chinese zodiac. And the Chinese zodiac, like other astrological systems, well, you would be right in thinking that perhaps these archetypes represent different parts of humanity, different characteristics, elements that exist in all of us. But as we enter the year of the rabbit, let us focus on one tale. The rabbit is making fun of the ox. The rabbit, as you might know, is fast and bouncy. Everybody likes the rabbit. The ox, not so much. There's not much that's glamorous about an ox. Boxy, with horns, fuzzy, but not soft, stuck in the water most of the time. The rabbit makes fun of the ox, but mostly the rabbit makes fun of the ox for being slow. And you might think, oh wait, no, I know this story, but it's not an ox, it's a tortoise. Yeah, it does sound a lot like that story, but it's an ox, not a tortoise. And this is a Chinese folktale, not Aesop. So, as you might guess, the ox and the rabbit are on a race. And the rabbit is fast and the ox is slow. And they are on a race to a place called the Heavenly Palace, which is a little bit confusing, and we won't get into that now. The ox wakes up at daybreak, ready to begin his slow, steady advance in the race, but finds that the rabbit has already taken off. Quickly, but also an early beginner, the rabbit is nowhere to be seen.
The rabbit finds too, after hopping all day, that when looking around, there's no animal to be seen. The rabbit is far along and far ahead in this race. And so the rabbit settles down to sleep. You can guess where this is going. That hoppity-skippity fast rabbit sleeps, and the ox plods along and beats the rabbit in the race. But the ox does not win this race, because that's Aesop's tale, and it's a tortoise, not an ox. But here in this Chinese folk tale, the tiger comes out of nowhere and is actually the winner. That feels resonant with my last year and the year of the tiger, where a lot came out of nowhere. And I can't quite explain it, just like in this story, I cannot explain the tiger. But the tiger wins, the ox gets second, the rabbit gets fourth, not third, because the rat was hidden in the horn of the ox. And so there are a lot of mysteries in this story. And I think one of the morals here is that it's good to take a ride. Third place is a great place to be. In studies of Olympians, third place people, well, they're as happy, if not a little bit happier often than the first place winners, and definitely happier than the second place winners. The first place winners, well, glory and elation, but also an awful lot of pressure and a lot to lose the next time you race. Second place, you're just consumed with the idea that you didn't get first. At third, you're just happy to have made it onto the podium. And the rat who makes a connection, well, she joined 2 billion other people yesterday in traveling around the world. Yesterday was the largest travel day of the year globally. And a huge part of that is because there are 1 billion Chinese people. And Lunar New Year is celebrated across much of Asia, not all, but much of Asia, from South Asia to Southeast Asia, rather, to up to Korea. And, well, 2 billion people are estimated to have traveled in the last couple of days, by train mostly, but also by plane, by ferry, by bicycle, by foot, near or far. Among Chinese culture, it is expected that you will return to your family for the traditional reunion dinner of the Lunar New Year. I did it last year for the first time in a long while, and again, the year of the tiger was pretty rough for me, so I didn't do it yesterday. And I feel pretty okay about it, though I did miss a 20-plus person dinner in Los Angeles. But 1,900,000 plus people went to their hometowns to gather and began their Lunar New Year celebrations. Now, that travel season, the Lunar New Year celebration in Chinese culture, both in Chinese American and Chinese immigrant communities around the world, but especially in China, it really lasts over a month. Really, for the weeks prior, preparation and travel and visits have already been underway. And the Spring Festival, as the Lunar New Year celebration is known as in China, well, it lasts for 15 days, from yesterday to the Lantern Festival. And it is this long period that, by tradition and expectation, demands that you return to your hometown, but doesn't stop there. Over the next few days, many of those 2 billion travelers will visit other people that they didn't see last night, visit relatives who weren't able to travel, friends from their hometown. Just like other kinds of holiday travel, it involves, well, a lot. And it involves bringing out parts of yourself that maybe you haven't visited for a while. How many of you have had the experience of being in the company of someone you haven't seen for 10 or 20 or 40 years, and finding yourself without really choosing it, snapped back into an earlier version of yourself, for better or, usually in my case, for worse. The 15-year-old version of me is not who I want to be anymore, but it's easy to slide back in the right conditions. Like the 20th century and contemporary American in particular, Jewish celebrations of Passover and Hanukkah, there's this sense over the course of a week that the celebration of the Lunar New Year in China in particular is not celebrated once, but many times, and with different groups of people, with different versions of ourself, different facets brought forward, celebrated, tucked away, made hidden. There are challenges aplenty with this sort of multiplicity of selves. But this Lunar New Year, as we enter into a year that celebrates health and prosperity and wellness, as well as abundance, I invite us to think of an invitation to multiple celebrations in multiple communities as celebration of our multiple facets. Each of us contains elements celebrated in some communities, parts of you lifted up here at First Unitarian may be unknown to your family of origin, or parts of you in your apartment building or workplace that you don't bring to church. It can sometimes feel like we live fractured lives. But as we partake in multiple celebrations, find ourselves embedded in the interdependent webs of multiple communities, what's revealed to us is a hidden wholeness, an ability to draw out different elements of ourselves. Sometimes the fast rabbit, sometimes the steady ox, sometimes the clever rat, and sometimes the surprising tiger. Each of us finds in a Christmas celebration at your kids' school where you're annoyed that you have to bring cookies, even though you are pretty sure you didn't sign up for that. Or the surprising and mysteriously well-chosen gift from a coworker who thought, or you thought, they didn't know you at all. Or the celebration that you're invited to around the corner from your home for a culture that you are not embedded in and know nothing of, and yet have been invited into. In each of these circumstances, we find ourselves invited to be reflected in another's experience, invited into a new adventure, a new visit to some part of ourselves that perhaps we might get better acquainted. As we celebrate the Lunar New Year together, even if it is not something that you have traditionally celebrated in the past, I invite you to take up a role today, a way of being in the world that you don't have a lot of practice in. Certainly within the boundaries of who you are and the safety of what your life looks like, but leaning in just a little bit to some yet undeveloped part of your life. May this new year, this new season, invite us to bring forward a little bit of the tiger's courage and find that the ox's steadiness, well, it needs a little bit of the drive and the ambition and the exuberance of the rabbit. We greet the year of the rabbit with the spirit of experimentation on our way. If only for the purpose of the story, this need not be your theology on our way to the heavenly palace. That means something different than you think it does. I just want to be clear. I want you to think of something in your life that hasn't been present in the last year, something that you like to do, a part that you'd like to explore in the coming year, something yet unreflected. Think of it now. And because you're likely sitting next to someone who knows you very well, who knows the version of you that existed yesterday and 10 minutes ago, I invite you not to say it to them, but to look in gallery view online or around the room here, find someone else in the room, and telepathically transport that message to them. Go ahead. We greet the Lunar New Year wearing red, making noise, eating food together, to chase out the bad luck, to chase out the monsters, to chase out the old year. We greet the new year by making noise. And my favorite way to make noise in this community, as you might have guessed, is singing together. And so I invite you to sing a surprising song, surprising because I don't know it. I'm leaning into a new me in this new year with Pablo. Thank you for introducing this song to us. Please rise in body or spirit. Here in community, we celebrate each of the multiple selves that we bring here. Here in community, we know that no one place can hold it all. And yet, together, each of us has webs upon webs of communities that lift us up. Each of us is part of one another's web, here and in other places. So I ask you to go out into the world, to go out. After we extinguish our chalice, I will not forget this week, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Carry in your heart all the versions of yourself, knowing that whatever peace is reflected in the eyes and ears of those around you, there lies within you a hidden wholeness. Let the truth of your life speak out and through you. May you be a web that loans each other strength. May you be a web so strong, so brave, so gentle, and so loved. I love you. Amen, and blessed be.